Hey, it's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to another edition of Q&A with the Coach. Today we have a question from our friend Dominique, who writes this. Hey Ramsey, do you think that self-taught martial arts can be as effective as martial arts learned in dojos or gyms? I grew up around cousins who I was sparring with when I taught myself martial arts. Where I lived there were no dojos, there were no gyms, it was just nothing but forest and roads. But my family did not have the money to pay for martial arts classes because they couldn't afford them. I guess I'm just wondering if I am as good of a martial artist as somebody who trained in the dojo or the gym for 5 years or more. All right, Dominique, it kind of sounds like you're telling my childhood story right there. There was nowhere to train in my small farming town. There was nothing but wilderness, desert, sagebrush, tumbleweeds, and sometimes cows and horses as far as the eye could see. And yeah, man, even if there was somewhere to train, there was no money to train there. So what did I do? I checked out books on martial arts from the library, and I read them, I studied them, I trained in my front yard with my brothers, I practiced by myself. And did that make me as good as somebody who trained in a dojo or a gym for 5 years or more? Well, Dominique, I'm going to tell you this is why martial arts competitions exist, so that you can test yourself and see how good you match up against other martial artists who train at other gyms or dojos or lack thereof. There are a lot of martial artists out there who train at dojos and gyms and dress up in a uniform and put on a black belt, and they absolutely suck at martial arts and they don't know how to fight. There are a lot of those guys out there. And you may be better than them. But ask yourself this, how good do you want to be? Do you want to be better than crap? Or do you want to be better than good? I suspect it's the latter. So, you have to be incredibly honest with yourself. I made a video a few years back titled, Be Honest with Yourself, You Don't Know How to Train Yourself. There is only a certain level that you're going to be able to push yourself to. And there are people in your life who can help you to move past that threshold, to overcome boundaries you didn't even know existed. You will not always be in this situation in life. You may not always live in this town. And I certainly hope you will not always be in the same financial situation. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps, my friend. Make something of yourself. Isn't that what you're trying to do right now anyway? Make something of yourself. Do you need to follow a traditional path and go to a martial arts cult? Yeah, I'm going to call it a martial arts cult, and bow down to the cult leader and their flag and a picture of their grandmaster on the wall and some nonsense like that, and put on the right uniform and pay the right fees to the right people? No. Because that's everything that's wrong with martial arts, in my opinion. Not everything, but a huge percentage of it. What you do need to do, I always tell you at the end of every one of these videos, get out there and train. Okay, but if you don't know how to train yourself, how are we going to do that? If you don't know how you match up against other martial artists, you need to meet other martial artists. You need to meet as many of them as possible. You need to train with as many of them as possible. How do you find them? Well, back in the olden days, back in my day when I was your age, we had this thing called a phone book, which had phone numbers in it, we'd open it up, we'd look up martial arts and find all the martial arts schools in the area, and then we would go call them up, maybe go visit them, try out their classes, see what they were all about. But today we have this thing called the internet. And martial arts is much more widespread today than it was back then in the era of phone books. And there are a lot of people out there who share common interests with you. And you can meet them. Am I telling you to meet strangers on the internet? This might be really bad advice to give, because it sounds like you're probably a minor, since you're relying on your parents to pay for martial arts classes. So no, Dominique, disregard that. Do not go out and meet strangers on the internet. What am I thinking? What am I thinking? But you get what I'm saying. There are a lot of people out there, and you have ways to meet people with similar interests. There are probably people at your school with similar interests as you who want to learn martial arts, and they want to get together and learn how to grapple and strike and do that sort of thing, and do it better and do it more efficiently, and figure out how good they are at this thing and how good they can get. So since you're probably in high school, I'm guessing, start there. Start there, man. You know who is generally really interested in martial arts in high school? The nerds who get beaten up. The unpopular weirdos who sit in the corner and don't talk to anybody and just fold their arms and look around like they're worried about somebody jumping them. The guys with no friends. The guys that nobody gives the time of day to. Those are the guys who are really interested in martial arts, because it seems like a way out of that dilemma. It seems like a way to solve that problem. If you could just fight back against your problems, you could stop them. In my case, as a child, in my childhood mind, that made sense to me, because my problems were physical violence from other kids at school, from the bullies being mean, beating me up. But a study of martial arts transcends just that, because most of us nerds who got picked on in school, most of us little dweebs who stood in the corner, we kept studying martial arts long after the physical threats of the bullies at school were no longer there. And why did we do it? Because it's awesome. Because it's cool. Because we like it. Because it makes us feel good and allows us to see a way to transcend to something better. Not just in terms of physical combat, but in so many other aspects of life. So Dominique, how good can you get in 5 years? That's highly variable. There are prodigies out there, absolute prodigies, which in 5 years have gone from stepping foot in the door to being high-level professional fighters. There are people who, after 5 years of training with quality instructors, quality training partners at quality facilities, and they're still not very good. Everybody has different potential, everybody has a different starting point, and everybody has different experiences in martial arts. So the only way to know how you stack up against other martial artists is to meet them and to compete with them. And please don't think you have this extremely limited time frame to just when you're a kid, just when you're in high school, just when you're a teenager. Because martial arts is a lifelong pursuit. You won't always be a kid. You won't always be in a small town. You won't always be poor. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the question. If any of you have questions for future editions of Q&A with the Coach, please leave them in the comments down below or email me at ramseydewey@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and train.